Hello and welcome back to the White Pew podcast. I'm ZM and it is Sunday, the 12th of April 2026. If you don't know, the White Pew is a website that I run with my friend and collaborator, Gabrielle de la Puente. Gab is up in Liverpool, I am down in London. And between these two cities, we take turns to write about art, exhibitions, books, films, telly, music, whatever takes our fancy on any given Sunday. We put the text versions of those texts on the website, thewhitepube.com. But this podcast feed is where we put the audio versions of those texts so you can listen to us, the writers, read our own words in our own voices if that is your format of preference, which it is. So, hello, welcome. I'm gonna read this week's text, but first I will give you a little, I don't know, like newsletter item. We're doing a talk at the Museum of Croydon and Croydon Central Library on Thursday, the 23rd of April at 6:30, so in the evening, dinner time, annoyingly. But I believe it was sold out, but Croydon Library have just added more tickets. There are a few left, but it is free. I will link the Eventbrite in the show notes if you're around on that Thursday and you want to come down. We haven't done a Poor Artists event in London since, I think, last October, last November, last year. So it's been a while. We've got lots to say. Come down if you fancy it. Another thing I will say is that I typically don't like writing about things that have closed, but in this case, the show was only open over the long weekend for like 4 days, and it was not too large. It was a bit out of the way, so I've tried to hedge my bets and write about something in a way that maybe communicates what it was about for those that didn't see it. But I will also include um the pictures obviously on the website if you want to have a look, but on Instagram I will put together a little reel so that you can kind of get a moving image version of what it was like. So if I'm writing this and you're like, oh, I wonder what it looks like, head on over to the website and have a look, or head over to Instagram and have a peep. That is all I will say. And apologies again for writing about something that you can't go visit and make up your own mind. But yeah, I will get to reading the text. Stay tuned to the end and I'll give you the emoji. And that is it. That's all for the Sunday. Then I'll leave you to your weekend. Okay. The gallery at Mezzanine is slap bang in the middle of an industrial estate. I'm on the edge looking in, past the rolling metal shutter, at the scene spread out before me. The glossy pink dust cover of a book called La Vie Parisienne is stapled to the wall. The title is in dainty curly cursive, and there's an illustration of a girl caught in a gust of wind. The wind whirls around her, blowing blossom petals and leaves, tootling her hair. She holds down her skirt, but oh, the wind has sexily undressed her, and her perky little tits are squishing together as she reaches for her skirt. Ooh la la! There is a glass pebble blobbed over the windy girl's face, obscuring and magnifying her coy expression. 2 paper cutouts of cutesy heeled shoes, very French, with a precious little floral detail across the front. Chalk lines sketch out the shape of dainty stylized legs, a treble clef curling into itself on the wall. Chalk lines and paper sheafs folded into the shape of hardback novels, stacked into a neat row, peacock written at the top of the spine. A pocket-sized grey oval with a sliver of an image, the small of a girl's back, nude and shadowed, strawberry blonde strands tickling their way over skin. A pile of confetti, a drawing of a top hat with a scrunched head below, the words Je ne taperai plus les garçons, I won't hit boys anymore, in neat joined-up handwriting. An upturned teacup that sings opera. Then, like a grand finale, a baby blue chiffon ball gown is draped over the suspended light fixture. It wafts overhead, neat little folds ruffling in the wind. This is an interesting kind of duo show made by Kelly Wu and Jo Ackerly, 2 artists working under the pen name Annie Versailles. Annie is a fictional white French woman, a collective persona for Kelly and Jo to come together and inhabit. Annie is obviously French, cartoonishly French, an English idea of what Frenchness might mean or be. She is chic, coy, girlish. She has frills, airs, and graces. In being imaginary, she is like the platonic ideal of a real girl. I'm thinking about what it means to make a character. They can be whatever we want them to be. The character in their world is imagined, spirited up. We inhabit them by suspending ourselves, exiting all that ourselves might mean. We take on new meanings, meanings that belong to this character. They open a portal or act as a portal, allow us to move through into an otherness. We can act as they might, think as they might, make as they might. We open ourselves up to things that might have been previously unimaginable or impossible to our actual normal selves. Saying it this way makes it feel boring, theoretical. It is playing. It is fun. We are creating things, worlds for ourselves, worlds between us, worlds we want. On the edge of the gallery looking in, the wind whirls around me. It ruffles my hair and nearly blows the press releases out across the industrial estate. I look at the girl in the glossy pink dusk jacket. I'm thinking about how all this work is full of things I don't know. I'm given enough information to guess or sketch out a partial understanding. The work pulls me into its mechanism, and I build understanding by making a psychic leap. Without speaking, without knowing, I can understand that Annie Versailles is cartoonishly French as a shortcut to ease and glamour. The je ne sais quoi of French girl style that only seems to exist in the Anglophone imagination. The reality of La Vie Parisienne doesn't matter. It's handling and building on a character that exists in our English national cultural imagination. It's about the imagination's capacity to romanticize existence outside yourself, romanticize an otherness. Saying it in this way threatens to puncture the imagination's romantic power. It's much more interesting when you suspend words, throw your mind somewhere else. Sometimes when I am writing, I cannot say something in my own voice, so I have to create another. I have to spirit up these little fictions, pretend. To throw your mind somewhere is a complete way to attempt at understanding. If all of this is true, this pretending, then I have questions about the truth, what it might even mean or how important it might be. Sometimes when I'm writing, I feel like the truth is the least interesting thing for me to play around with. The untruth is the only thing that can be made. Maybe we exit ourselves, make fictions to make meaning or sense. Maybe we make fictions to destabilize the world that already exists. Maybe we make fictions to make the future or to move forward into the future. And saying it in this way makes it feel esoteric, woo-woo. But I think this is a function of art. Sometimes I find myself thinking about how art is so weird. A weird thing to do, a weird interest or obsession to have, a weird way to spend your time. And then the wind catches, the thought flips. Art isn't weird, the world is weird. Being alive is weird. Being human has got an inherent weirdness built into it. We all just bear with that weirdness. We nod along to the conversation without really listening. Art makes the weirdness more visible. It gives it a body. It channels the weirdness into something we can see, grip, feel. It lets us play out our feelings about this weirdness. Art uses that weirdness as a texture within itself. Maybe in past ages, if we wanted to fling ourselves into the beyond, we'd have looked to shamans or witches. Now I look for it in art, in wild places, half undone, testing and poking as it goes. I want the world to be stranger, different. I want to play forever, make the psychic leap and exit myself, enter the portal. That was an abrupt ending, but I'm happy to leave it there, I think. I have nothing more to really add to it in an outside voice sense, so I'll leave it there. Thank you for listening, and I will say that Annie Versailles, a duo show by Kelly Wu and Jo Ackerly, was on at Mezzanine, an artist-led space down in the Bermondsey Triangle last weekend, over the long weekend. Um, and I will give you the emoji for this week's text. And I say this, and I don't know what it is yet. So, okay, let's work it out in real time, and I'll give you the first one that pops to mind. Please, can I have as my emoji the sparkles emoji? Because I think that feels like that's like a transformative sparkle anime magic girl kind of emoji, right? Like if we're talking about playing and imagining and the idea of making a character to turn into someone else, that feels like the most apt. So can I have that one? And pop that on the Instagram if you do have a look, or if you do have a chance, if you've listened all the way through. And I will catch you next time. Oh, remember the tickets to the Talking Croydon. Okay, that's it. This is all very confusing. There, I will leave it there. Happy Sunday. Goodbye.